And John, if you're starting first, you're welcome to go ahead and share your screen.
Okay.
Okay. So then you're going to want to make sure, Brian, go ahead and.
Yeah, I don't think that's pretty. I'm off the audio on the computer.
You're going to have to, I can't mute you from here, so you'll have to mute your computer.
Yeah, it should be muted. So
Yep, there you go. We're all set. And Tyler, okay.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
We're
Perfect.
Good?
Yep.
Love it.
All right. Okay, well, we have everybody coming in. I'm so happy to see all the people coming in today. We're going to give it just a second as everybody logs in. Okay. Well, I want to welcome you all to our webinar Wednesday. We're very excited about this one. This is a really hot topic. I'm getting my master's degree right now, and this is a very hot topic. We have lots of discussion every Tuesday night talking about data. So I'm glad you guys are here. You'll be at the cutting edge because there's a lot of people who don't understand it yet, I don't think. And it'll be great to hear from all of these guys. So today we have SKUWorld, who will be talking to us specifically about innovation with data and how to use it in for customer analytics and how to improve your marketing. So today we have John Beide, who's going to be starting us off today. He has spent the last 15 years in technology assisting clients in a variety of industries with automating and streamlining business processes to improve efficiencies and operations within their organization. John's passion is assisting his clients in accomplishing their goals and improve how they operate and grow their organizations. Then we'll have Brian Smith, who'll be speaking as well today. He earned his CPA license after college and worked in accounting, business intelligence, and data analytics as a consultant for Fortune 1000 companies. He's worked for over 10 years developing and delivering SaaS applications in sports, entertainment, and education space. Currently, Brian has been overseeing delivery for SKUWorld. And our guest today is Tyler Stouter, and he is located in Indianapolis and serves the Director of Marketing for Arbor Homes and their umbrella of brands, including Silverthorne Homes, Elite Homes, newly launched Destination Homes. And Tyler has a passion for marketing automation, CRM, and ultimately improving the overall customer experience throughout the buyer's journey. So you guys will get lots of great information today. Before we get started, I just want to give you a quick some housekeeping items. We will reserve questions until the very end, but please feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation. Down at the bottom of your screen, you can see a Q&A bubble. You can click on that to ask questions. If you have questions that are specifically related to the presentation, or you're having some issues with the connection or anything like that, you can talk to me directly through the chat bubble. We are recording today, so if you're not able to watch the whole thing in the entirety, you can come back and watch this. Or if you just have to go through it one more time because it's so great, you can come back and visit our website at builderpartnerships.com/events and click on the SKUWorld webinar to rewatch this presentation. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to John. Go ahead, John.
Appreciate it, Emma Jane. Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen.
Awesome. First off, we just want to thank everyone for taking the time of day to attend this webinar. Also want to thank everyone at Builder Partnerships, especially Emma Jane, for helping us out and give us this opportunity to present this afternoon. Really excited about this service offering that we have around customer profile analytics. If you haven't heard of SKUWorld, or if you hadn't had a chance to kind of look us up at a very high level, at the end of the day, we are data people. Like Emma Jane said, it's a very exciting topic in today's world around data and data analytics and how you can use analytics to drive your business. But everything we do, from what we're talking about to the services we provide to the solutions that we're offering, and even forward thinking of service lines that we're thinking about down the road, is to really assist our clients, especially in the home building space, to be more data-driven organizations, to be more proactive instead of reactive, and also assist with making more informed decisions when having access to more data. And with today's presentation around customer profile analytics, you're going to get a lot of information around data, really to be focused on enhancing and improving your sales and marketing efforts. There's going to be a variety of use cases, obviously, that you can apply this to, and Brian and I, along with Tyler, especially Tyler, will be sharing some of those use cases. But as we go through the presentation, I think there's a few things, just one or two, maybe three, to keep on your mind as we go through the process today. Is one, what everybody's talking about these days is how can we enhance customer service and improve the customer experience. And a lot of that is focused usually on once you've engaged with the client, and even more post-sales once they've signed a contract. But what we're trying to do with the customer profile analytics process or solution is really kind of put that focus and attention more on the pre-sales process, and really before you even have that first conversation. So how can we get to a more targeted buyer, someone that is similar to our current customer base, but also have more meaningful conversations and get engaged with those clients a lot quicker. So that's one thing I want you to keep in mind too. Also, looking at how can we streamline and improve our current sales and marketing processes. So the good old term about working smarter, not harder. So how can we have more targeted messages to our prospects about sending the right message to the right person at the right time, having more targeted, meaningful conversations. Looking at how can we shorten our sales cycle from that first engagement to when they're signing on the dotted line. And at the end of the day is really, looking at our overall internal processes and making them more efficient. And then the last thing I kind of want to keep in mind as we go through this is know your market. Customers and their needs are changing daily. Markets are changing daily. So how can we be more proactive and stay ahead of that curve, knowing our client, knowing our market, versus taking more of a reactive approach once we find out that our client has changed and their needs and their markets have changed. So those are just a few things to keep in mind. One of the most common questions, obviously, we get in the initial process is how do we get started? What is the process like? And what we've tried to do with this solution offering is really make it as simple as possible to get started. A 4 to 5 step process to really get you up and running, using data, leveraging data to really start engaging and finding more targeted buyers. So step one here, we kind of broke it down to make it real simple and easy to understand before we got into the whole presentation. Step one, is really we have to, get your data, obtain your data, both your customer data and your prospect data. So the customer data, what we typically request from the client is just 2 to 3 years worth. And what we're looking for from a data perspective is just first name, last name, phone number, email address, and previous address before they bought from you. What that does for us, those specific data points, allows us to really narrow down and have a higher percentage rate of finding that customer when we start doing some data acquisition process. Well, as far as it goes for your prospect data, prospect data usually comes in a variety of different ways, whether it's from web forms, email marketing. You can do open houses, but it's coming in a variety of different ways. And sometimes that prospect data is not very clean and it's very limited. So you may only have the first name, last name, email address, maybe even telephone, but you're certainly not probably going to get their current address information. So with our customer data, we're really getting anywhere from 70 to 80% match rates. And then even with the limited amount of data on the prospect side, we're even getting 70 to 80% match rates on the prospect data as well. So step one is really just getting access to the data to start kicking things off. Once we move down into step two, this is kind of where the secret sauce and all the magic starts to happen, is we're starting to append what we call data attributes, both to customer and prospect records. So if you're not familiar with data attributes or data points, what that really means is we're looking at a variety of demographic data, property data, and household data. So some examples of that would be age, income, marital status. Are they current owner or renter? What's their property look like from a square footage perspective? What's the property type? Is it a single family home, et cetera? What's the current market value of that home? What type of home equity do they have in that current property? How long have they lived at that property? So you're having all of these different types of data attributes that are really getting down to the detailed level of who that customer is or even who that prospect is. Now, in this process, what the But the first thing that we really need to do is start identifying who your current customer is. So that's where that 2 to 3 years worth of data really comes into importance. And we're building that customer profile. So what we're saying here, out of maybe 1,000 clients that you've sold homes to in the past few years, what does that age range look like? What does that income status look like? Are they married? Are they more single? What do their property types look like? Where are they coming from a geographical standpoint? And what that is doing is allowing us to start build that buyer profile so we can start applying that profile to the actual prospect data that we've appended the data to as well, which now gets us into step 3, where we start taking those prospects, we start ranking them and scoring them and applying what we call our percentile ranking to those prospects. And Brian and Tyler will go into that a little bit more. But what we're simply doing there is taking that buyer profile and saying, out of these prospects, we're going to rank them. And let's say, from 0 to 100%, the ones, we're looking at a current prospect who is at 85 percentile rank. Well, what that means and what that is telling us, that they start fitting into our buyer profile. And you could have different points, meaning they fit our age range, they fit our owner-renter status, they fit, square footage, a demographic area, or a geographical area. But what it allows our internal sales and marketing teams to do is really start focusing in on some of those higher ranked percentile prospects and trying to get engaged with those people a lot quicker and a lot sooner. Then we kind of move into step 4, and this is really where we start to empower our clients with some of the tools that we have built inside of our solution that Brian will start demoing, but giving you various ways to work with the data, look at the data, dive into the data from a dashboard perspective, which is more of an aggregated view, down to a detailed data card view, and then even looking at heat maps, which Tyler will provide some use cases around of how to work with a heat map and kind of see some function or some features around looking at prospects from a heat map perspective. And then lastly, the step 5, I think this is one thing that we get most often from our clients is very powerful, is the ability to integrate with their CRM. So actually, we've collected all this data, we've analyzed it, we've structured it. Now we need to integrate that data back into our customer CRM so their internal sales teams and marketing teams can kind of have, the ones that are on the phone with the prospect, they have one point of view where they can literally look at that prospect in their CRM, but also see all of the appended data attributes for that prospect when they're having conversations with them. So again, a 1 to 5 step process, very simple. That's what's the intent of this solution, but really have a lot of meaningful impact once you start engaging and analyzing the data. I would like now to move it over to Brian, and he'll start talking about the application and actually doing some live demos.
Sounds great. Thanks, John. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Builder Partnerships. Really appreciate the opportunity. And thanks, Tyler, too, for participating as well. So let me share my screen here. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can see that now.
Looks good.
Appreciate it. So this is our customer dashboard. I think John mentioned, we have the 2 types of sets of customers where you gave us your previous address. We're kind of incorporating all. So once we get that information from you, we do our world-class data acquisition, and we take all the information that we can get and we gather, and then we can do that at the aggregate level and also the detail level, which I'll walk you guys through. But these are the types of demographic data that we're able to use. And one thing a couple things I just want to state up front is, we take data security very seriously. So all of the data you'll see here is actually test data. So, names that are not real names, so to speak. We actually are using, some real properties because we want to show those different pieces, but, not real names and not real, demographic data for that given person because we want to be, very secure that way. The other thing is that, as Emma mentioned up front, data analytics is a rapidly growing area across, almost every industry. Currently, and especially, in the home building space. And, one of the key things to do is we take, this very serious as well. We really want to focus on the ethical use of data to help drive better business decisions. And I just want to keep that in mind. So we follow all the standard laws and all the standard regulations in terms of, in California, what elements can we work with all the different data points that we're able to extract or not extract. So we work with all of those in all the different states and regulations, and then make sure that we're using the data the way that Fortune 1000 companies are currently using the data to really drive their marketing and drive their analytics. And we're trying to help bring those opportunities into the home building space and make it available to you. So with that said, household demographic data. So this is one of the key things. Let's look at the age of the first person that's the customer data that you provided to us. Let's look at the gender breakdown. Let's look at the education and the income ranges, the marital status, the presence of children, the locations. What are your top 5 or 7 zip codes that really are driving where your customers previously came from, which is a key thing. Previously came from, right? The existing home profile, the property type detail, the home value, the year build, and the length of residence. So those are some of the aggregate level dashboard views. And you can also look at it from the prospect perspective. So you can also look at, as John mentioned, first name, last name, email, and or phone coming in off of a web lead. We're able to take that data, go through our data acquisition process, pull all the data back in, and then offer that aggregated view that you're currently seeing now. And what I wanted to do is I go throughout this is also have Tyler just talk through how they're using each of these different aspects. I think that's going to be even more powerful to me just walking through how the tool and application works. So Tyler, do you want to walk through how you're using the aggregate dashboard?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. Thanks, Brian. So what's really great about data is data allows us to know who our customer is, right? So we're really using data from two areas. It's the customer side and the prospect side. So we're really early on in the sales cycle, we're really honing in on some of that prospect data to help our buyers make a better informed decision. And then on the back end side with our marketing and our research team, we're really using then the customer data to tell us where our customers coming from, what products we need to create, who they are, what's the average income range, so we can start making better not only marketing but business decisions around our customer. The nice thing about having all this data is like John mentioned earlier, we spent 2 to 3 years of customer data and created this buyer profile. So now as new data starts coming in through our website, through our web leads, we can compare that lead information based off of what our buyer has been the past 2 to 3 years. So we can gain a better idea of hey, this person, it aligns with our buyer profile, they're more likely to convert. And then when we start mixing that into our CRM and content, we're really able to hone in and score these leads much higher by knowing their information and knowing how they compare to our past purchases.
Sounds great. Thanks, Tyler. And so the next area I wanted to show you is our detail card, we call it. There you go. So I know that the Zoom might be lagging a second, so I see it now. I just want to, okay, sounds good. So I'll walk through this. We have that same concept of the detail card from the prospects and the customers. So, you can kind of see your customer difference, and you can see your, let me move the Zoom out of the way just a little bit so I can navigate better. Okay, so we had mentioned that we saw the aggregate level. So now we're going to start looking at the actual detail level. And one thing I want to emphasize up front is that you are able to download this and extract this data into Excel so that you guys can do your own analysis, because I'm sure you guys have lots of different data points and analysis that you'd like to perform outside of the baselines that we're always thinking of too, because you've come up with all kinds of new ideas and different ways to from a marketing standpoint to review and analyze your data. So you can change this, just kind of simple, navigation, show more of the 50 type person view or 100 type person view. And then we can even dive into a specific person. So we pick Tommy here. And now we're going to dive into that specific person for Tommy. So, Tommy here is kind of looking at the demographic information from age to gender. So a lot more detail. So income ranges specifically, for Tommy, mortgage information, home purchase information. Some of these are marketing, based on the analytics that we're able to acquire from, are they potentially looking for, recent home or what have you. The entity level, so the entity is meaning more of the property level, and it's a little bit different just in terms of, well, the entities, length of residence and owner type versus, those different pieces versus property. So in the entity side, we have like residence and owner renter, owner type, which is, we might find it's an owner, we might find it's a renter, we might find, those kind of different variations there within on those. Property details. So property details, was it built, 4 years ago, or, home square, or the home square feet, the lot square feet, the property type, the room count, the bedroom. So all the data that we're able to go pull, from that specific property, and we'll actually show you that too on the heat map, because we're also linked in with Zillow on that piece of it. So exterior, the heating source, the estimated market value data, the square foot range, the year built, all those different pieces. And then the household. So we know a lot about the person, but we want to also understand the household. So who else living in that particular household? And so we have, 3 different generations. We have adult, child, and parent. So we have 4 adults and, 3 kids. So in this case, so this is actually about another data point, right? So we're going to look at the adult information. We're not pulling the kid information or making that available. So we talked about that before, like what's, what we are able to pull, what we want to pull, and what we don't want to show too, so to speak. So in this case, a person age, person 1 and 2 are in their 50s. And we also, maybe we have, in this case, another adult is renting out part of the house per se, potentially with, maybe, and there's 3 kids. I'm not sure which ones have the kids. And that's kind of, part of what we're able to extract and where we fit into that. Then also, we do have vehicle information to some extent. So we have vehicle information, which vehicles are driving, good talking points, right? Perhaps the sales rep, has a very similar type of car. They just kind of bring it up casually, and just, different ways to engage with your customer is really, some of the different ways that we use this. But I'll let Tyler actually talk through that.
Yeah, so that's a really good point, Brian. Is we use this information as we move the buyer kind of through that sales cycle. Having an idea of this information as we're qualifying a potential lead or prospect really helps us put that potential buyer in the right product, in the right home, in the right community, in the right market. So I saw a question actually come in through the chat with, multiple products. And that's what's great about this software and having a CRM integration is we're able to break apart our data by our business unit. So we on the Arbor side are able to see our multiple products and the data that aligns to there. So if we get a lead that comes in and we start looking into it and doing our research and see that they're interested in our lower level entry product, but they could fit into the larger product, or that they're the older generation, that they might be a better fit for our destination series, which is more of our empty nester product. It really allows us to know who that buyer is, so that we're informed when we're talking to them. It's not a lot of the cold approach by, hey, they just gave us their name and phone number and their email. So now it cuts back on some of those qualifying questions to be more engaging in that early sales cycle process. So then when handoff happens from our OSC team, which is our online sales counselors, who handle the leads, first touch point, qualify, and then set the appointment with the sales manager, there's a lot more information that can be handed. So now the sales manager has a lot more basically ammo to better sell a home fit for that customer.
That's great. Thanks, Tyler. So the other area, and I want to be sensitive on time too, so I'm going to show the heat map, which actually pulls everything together too. And I think it's one of the key features. And then I'll just talk about the rank. We'll just go over that really quickly, and then I want to hand it over to Tyler after that to let him walk through some of the CRM integration that we've done with his team. So everything's integrated with Google Maps on this piece of it, and also Zillow, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm actually going to dive into the prospects. I think that's, the customers, to see where your customers are coming from, that's one piece. But then to dive in, like I said, just coming from that first name, last name, email, and really, being able to dive in and see where my prospects are coming from, it's very, very powerful on both sides, from the customer side and from the prospect side. So, you can click on each individual person. Just an example, you're going to be able to click the Zillow link, see those different pieces. I do want to show you just show you how quickly it can filter out to, and then we'll do a couple quick things. We'll just type in a person here. So type in Amy here. We pull up, Amy here, and we can see what part of town she's coming into. The ranking we'll just talk about in a minute, and then you can click on Zillow. Oh, I'm not sharing that screen, am I?
No, we see it.
So we
it's
just clicked on.
No, we see it. We see it, Brian.
Yeah. Oh, it did. Okay, I wasn't sure if I just shared the one screen. Anyway, so this is the Zillow. It'll pull up the Zillow information. So pull up the Zillow, pass all the information over there, so that you can see the person's information and where they're living on the Zillow side, the estimated market value. So it's just another very key data point on the Zillow side. And then let me jump back over. Let's see.
Just click the SKUWorld tab, Brian. There we go.
No, I know.
We see it.
It's the Zoom bar keeps moving in front of me. It's like literally tracking. I'm sorry. So just real quick too, so we can click on Amy's detail, and we can pull up that same information that we saw before. So it's all integrated, right? So the different components are integrated together. So we've already seen, not that I need to kind of reiterate that piece of it, but I just wanted to show you that that's all integrated on the heat map. And then what we can do also is we can really drill down into the heat map. We can change the map type. I actually like the hybrid map type a lot better. And then we can take this little person here, drag it over to the street. I'm not sure I hit the street properly, but then we can actually see the neighborhood. And if we do find their house, you will see the pin there. So you can kind of see where they're coming from. So, it's kind of interesting, right? Let's pull this and go a little bit that way. And the reason I just want to show you this because, so you can actually say this person has a deck, for example, right? So, when you're thinking about, when you have a conversation with this person, they have looks like a really cool deck here. So, that's something that you might want to bring up, or as a talking point, or this maybe a sales option that you guys have. And those are the types of things that you can really put that full picture together to really enable that better sales experience. So let me hand this back over to Tyler. Tyler, so want to walk through how you're using the heat map?
Yeah, so we love the heat map. The heat map just gives us, an idea of where our customers are coming from. So from the prospect side, the map is telling us and giving us a better understanding of what our customer needs. So if we can see an influx of our prospects coming from a different market or a different city that we don't necessarily build in, we can start thinking through these conversations and does it make sense to build our next community in this area? And then same thing with the customer side, right? We can see where our customers are coming from to have those same type of conversations, to start thinking through new products, new markets, what is going to be best for our customer. And the great thing too is we all know that customer acquisition's expensive. I mean, it just is. You've got your pay-per-clicks, you've got your email marketing campaigns, you've got your XYZs that as marketers, we're dumping money into. So it's great to see from a heat map on the prospect side where our customers are coming from. So if we're doing traditional ads in the newspaper or running billboards in a certain area, and we see that not a lot of prospects are coming from that area, that might tell us that we need to shift our marketing dollars and put it into an area where we're seeing an influx of prospects coming from. So same thing as geo-targeting with our paid ads, targeting and digital, or using this list, because the great thing is, we do have the CRM connection point, so we can target by previous city or previous state where people are coming from, and have personalized segmentation for our marketing message. It's just great because it helps us predict, what's next for our customer, and really we can use it to see, where some of the trends are coming from. You could see a max exodus coming from California. You can see, people moving down farther south, and it's all right there at our fingertips, which is fantastic.
Sounds great. Sounds great. So we do have a ranking concept, but I'll actually let Tyler. I'm going to hand it over to you, Tyler, and I will stop my share.
Yeah. So what's great about the ranking, I kind of mentioned it earlier, is because we've sent the past 2 to 3 years of data on each one of our product lines, we can now run that in sync with a lead that comes in to have a better idea of where they rank as a percentage to our current buyer. And we're using that, integrating that into our CRM, which we're using HubSpot. So we've got that connection point, which I'm going to share to kind of walk you guys through with how we're using it and where it's beneficial. And hide my toolbar here. So once again, taking data, super serious. So we've got, dummy data in here in our system on how it works. But what's great is from the contact view of HubSpot, we can see right away who this customer is, what's their percentile to our buyer profile, and if they're a current owner renter. So when I mentioned that we kind of split the data views up by teams, we give very generalized data for our kind of early sales cycle team, and then the back end, our market research team uses some of the more in-depth research to make more informed product and market decisions. But what's great is I can see as this lead came in, like I said, I see what his ranked percentile is, and it's assigned instantly to one of our online sales reps. They've got their statuses that they need to go through, their qualification points that they work with, and then they're able to, click into this information and see a little bit more on this buyer. So they can see where they rank according to our buyer profile. They could see estimated income. They could see the length of residency, if they're owner, renter, material status, number of adults, to help really move that and qualify that buyer and putting them into the right product. So I think the question again, once was like different product lines, the connection point that we have in place reads our business unit and is able to then match that customer with that business unit to make sure that Marty McFly, who came in through our Silverthorne product, actually matches our Silverthorne buyer profile. So that way, we're not trying to second guess information. The API connection point that the guys at SKUWorld set up does it for us. And then that same information lives in that backend in that app. So then our market research team and our product teams can really hone in and look through all that data. But what's nice about having this data that lives in HubSpot is now we can start being more segmented and targeted with our communication. So we can start creating lists on, hey, show me everyone that came from X city that is an owner, or sorry, that is a renter. So now we can create a campaign based off that information to help move them through kind of that buyer's journey and hopefully into a home. It's just really great information to have in here. And like I said, just creating dummy data so we could see the percentile to our buyer persona. And as we get more and more mature with this, we can start integrating how this customer interacts with our content and our site, and combining that rate percentile from SKUWorld data and then website data interaction, and really create a lead score for our buyer to know that hey, based off of Johnny Lawrence's web activity, how he's engaging our contact, he's opened a couple emails, he's downloaded this piece of whatever, and he matches our buyer profile, he's now an A lead. Obviously, the A leads are going to convert more than a D lead, right? So we really know the leads that we have to work harder on or the leads that are kind of the layup at that point. So it's just great to have this information combined with our marketing efforts already. But I mean, that's really it with our HubSpot connection. It's really simple. The data is there at the fingertips for our online sales team to use, and they can use that to help qualify that buyer, put them in the right product, put them in the right market, especially right now as you know, we have interest lists, VIP lists, like everybody's going through it now with demand. So to be able to say, hey, you know, you were interested in this community, asking these qualifying questions based off of the data received, we might be able to move you into this community that has, you know, more availability at this time. So the data is actually being put to use, regardless of having availability or not in a specific community or neighborhood. And also gives us the chance to cross-sell really too. So if there is that lead that comes through, and is interested in something that we don't have availability in, but we know what their data is telling us that they could probably afford something higher or not afford this higher end product, we can help push them into the right product. And then this conversations are just more personal, they're less prying, can you tell me X, Y, Z? It's more of a fluid conversation rather than the stereotypical sales process, the selling.
Yep, I agree and appreciate that, Tyler. Imogen, I think that concludes our presentation. Just open it up for any questions.
That was great, you guys. And I feel like Anya had that question about the multiple communities, but I feel like you pretty much covered that. Tyler, is that correct? With you?
Yeah, and that was one of the things that was super important to us before we engaged in any conversation was, hey, we've got multiple brands with multiple products that all live in our CRM. We need to make sure we can differentiate between these two. Otherwise, it's going to be just more work to dig through everything and try to figure out where they're coming from. And that's where the percentile is so awesome, because it matches our buyer profile our buyers from the last 2 to 3 years that have given us. So it's easy then to see, like I mentioned, that, you know, these might be the higher converting leads.
Right. Well, and I like what you said too, is that you have a lot of information. You have a lot of information on your clients and the people who have bought homes from you, but it's not necessarily that you have it in a way that's very well organized that you can make good decisions off of. So by using this partnership with SKUWorld, you're able to get your information that you already have and have somebody take it and put it into information that you can use to make decisions.
100%. I mean, HubSpot is our machine. Like anything marketing wise and even sales wise starts within HubSpot, and it does connect to our larger ERP system. But like, this is the machine that's, you know, getting the leads moving through our pipeline. Everything goes through HubSpot. So to have that connection point, it's just huge. We don't have to log into, you know, a separate Excel sheet or a Google sheet and try to cross-reference. Like, no, it's there within that customer's profile that already exists, along with all their activity that they've done with our content, our emails, our website, to give us that holistic approach of that buyer.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And we don't have any other questions. I would imagine that a lot of this information is brand new. Like we said at the very beginning, data has become it's growing exponentially by the minute, pretty much, with all the information that's out there, and it's so unknown for a lot of people who just don't understand the power of the data that's available to us at our fingertips. It's a matter of turning that data into information that is usable, that you can make good business decisions from. And one of the things I know that we're learning right now is that it's going to be your competitive advantage. It's not always going to be the best business wins. It's the one with the best data turned into information to make the best business decisions. So you really want to take advantage of a tool like this that can help you analyze not only in the information that you have about your existing customers, but information that you're able to pull in from the people who are coming to visit your communities.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, I was just going to say, as people don't like being sold to, I think with the digital age, people do the research on their own, so they know a lot about the product. So as you create more one-to-one personalized conversations, it creates trust between the buyer and the seller at that point. So you're able to move smoother through the sales cycle.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. And you're not trying to sell somebody something that's not in there, that they can't afford, or that's not what they actually want. So you take away that whole pushy sales piece where you're trying to force somebody into, you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole. So it really kind of matches the tools and the pieces together. Well, unless you guys have anything else, did you want to add anything else, John or Brian?
I think so.
Just one other key point that I know Tyler mentioned it, but there's also that other concept too of helping you spend your dollars, more intelligently, like from an advertising perspective. If you look at that heat map, you're like, oh, you know what, we spend a lot of money on, radio or TV ads in that particular zip code, and we're not getting a lot of traffic. And the people, we actually should be spending it, 2 zip codes over, because that's where a lot of people are coming from. Like those are cost analysis too. So, we do a lot of work on the financial side with financial data too. And I think you gotta, keep both sides in mind as you're thinking through this.
Yep. Well, I want to thank you guys so much. I hope that all of you who are on here got a lot of great information. Like I said, this is being recorded, so you can go back and hear it all again and look at all of the different pieces again if you need to revisit it. And John and Brian's information will be emailed out to you guys tomorrow. But if you need anything, feel free to contact us. I can connect you with John and Brian right away, or you can visit their website at SKUWorld.com. We look forward to seeing you guys at our next webinar Wednesday. I believe we have, actually, let me tell you what we have coming up next week. I have to move the question out of the way. Next week we have, are you ready to sell homes online? And this is going to be with the mayor, and they're going to talk about virtuals. And then the week after that, we're going to have Ed Hauk, and he's going to be doing a case study on lumber. So we look forward to seeing you in the next couple of weeks. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma Jane. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.